Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this quick webinar on building a CFO presentation using AI, brought to you by FP&A Professionals Institute. We don't say AI is coming anymore, right? So AI is already here and it is impacting every single step of how we are working, whether it is in finance or operations, whether it is using Excel sheets or whether it is using PowerPoint presentations or doing research. Everything is getting impacted with AI and every workflow is changing and either becoming simpler or becoming more richer with AI coming into the workflow. Okay. So today we'll be talking specifically about building CFO presentation. So today's session will not be exactly about the CFO presentation or just the presentation techniques in itself, right? So we'll be talking a little bit more about how AI is going to impact FP&A and how the future of FP&A is going to look like. And then we'll also be looking at some use cases on how to use AI for building CFO presentations. So not necessarily an end-to-end CFO presentation, but how AI can impact different, I would say, layers or components of a CFO presentation and how you will be using AI going forward to use and incorporate those elements in the CFO presentation. So that's what we'll be focusing on today. And then we'll talk about some AI-driven skill sets and what people are looking for, what CFOs are looking for. And finally, we'll have some time for Q&A as well. So all in all, it will be an action-packed and highly practical 40 minutes or so. So let's get rid of all the distractions and let's focus on what we are trying to share today. So my name is Dhawal Parvatikar. I'm a qualified chartered accountant. I've got about 16 years of experience in the industry, worked as CFO in India and in the Middle East. Now the co-founder and lead faculty at FP&A Professionals Institute. I've been an active trainer and a mentor since 2018. I've trained and mentored more than 5,000 professionals on various topics like FP&A, budgeting, forecasting, finance business partnering, data storytelling, one-to-one CFO career coaching, and much more. I'm also the faculty for ISB's CFO program in India. You will frequently see me in events across the Middle East as a host, as a moderator, as a panelist. I frequently speak at CFO events across the Middle East. I've also built a vibrant community of more than 200 CFOs across the Middle East where we meet every quarter and exchange a lot of ideas and discuss about the future of finance as well. My co-founder, Asif Masani, he's also a chartered accountant with 15 plus years experience across various FP&A functions in different industries. A celebrated author, you can see those 3 books on the right. And he's just released his 4th one as well. So it's worked with large companies in FP&A roles specifically. What Asif and I have tried to do is not only share our experience, but bring in the best-in-class experience from world's renowned FP&A experts through our courses, training programs, webinars, books, and everything that you see on the screen. And over the last 3 years or so, we started somewhere in 2022. Over the last 3 years or so, we have been able to train more than 6,000 students on various courses that you see on the screen. The Certified Global FP&A Professional Program, the CGFPA program, is our flagship 6-month in-depth certification in FP&A, where we cover everything that you can imagine under the FP&A space in a very practical way, along with the data analytics tools like Power BI, Power Query, Tableau, and the AI modules like Claude, ChatGPT, Copilot. All of those things are covered to make you truly ready, future-ready FP&A professional. So that's the idea. The current cohort just started on 4th of July, 2026. The next cohort is likely to start in October. So that's our flagship CGFPA program. So with that, let's get started with today's session. I want to set some context by showing you how AI was going to impact FP&A, and then we'll directly get into some of the use cases of building CFO presentations. Now, this is how the traditional FP&A function looks like, right? So a lot of effort on the extraction and reconciliation and validation of data. You will see that you normally get data from various sources like your ERPs, your CRMs, your HRMS tools. And usually these are manual extraction. And then you get into that endless loop of VLOOKUPs and XLOOKUPs and do a lot of manual data massaging. And finally, you come up with your models or your dashboards, right? And by this time, already so much of time has passed that these reports usually lose their relevance. They're not real-time reports or they're not dynamic reports. And if somebody asks you to do just one change, you'll have to do all that entire download and VLOOKUP cycle again and again, right? So that's what traditional FP&A looks like, where we spent more time on reconciliation and validating the data rather than analysis. Now, with AI coming into picture, this is how we are progressing towards something called as unified intelligence, right? So we are focusing on one source of truth, where by creating a unified data lake, right, you can get all your data from your ERP, from your CRMs, from your HRMS. Through API connections, you can get it into a data lake. And on top of this data lake, you can build your machine learning models, predictive analytics, FP&A tools, real-time dashboards. All of these things are possible with AI coming in and the data lake infrastructure coming in today, right? So this is how we are moving towards unified intelligence, and we are making sure that every tool talks to each other through the data lake, and you are able to get unified insights and on-time insights. Okay, so this is how the future of FP&A is going to look like. Is every company there yet? No, but I have seen many companies have started understanding the seriousness about data lakes, and finally trying to put a data lake together and build some FP&A tools or predictive analytics tools around that. Okay, so that's where the future of FP&A is heading. Now, with that context in mind, so let's get into use cases on building CFO presentations using AI. Again, so today's discussion is not more about how a CFO presentation needs to look like. What I want to stress upon is the fact that how AI is going to impact how you want to build a CFO presentation. Okay, so that's where our focus would be today. So don't expect presentation techniques and beautiful presentations. So what I'm going to tell you is how AI is going to impact these presentations. And of course, you can use it for building as many slides and presentations as you want, right? So we'll focus on the fundamental, I would say, hypothesis of how AI is going to impact FP&A, and then you can use it in a number of cases. Okay, so today we'll be focusing on presentations. In the past sessions that we have been conducting, we conduct almost every Thursday, we conduct one webinar. In the past, we have seen building financial models from scratch using AI. We have seen doing a lot of analysis using AI, but today's session will be largely focusing on presentations using AI. Okay, so much more than the tool, right? So what you need to focus on is understanding the skill set to use these tools, right? So as far as possible, you don't do things manually. You don't build an end-to-end presentation anymore. You try and do some steps through AI so that that makes it convenient for you to touch upon the presentation, or at least give a touch to your presentation, and then your presentation is ready, right? So let's start the first presentation use case. This is building a CFO budget presentation using AI. So typically, what happens is that you build a budget in an Excel file, right? And once the budget is ready, and you need to kind of put it together in a presentation, and then you finally will be presenting it to a CFO or a CEO or any other senior stakeholders in your company. Okay, so that is the use case that we'll be focusing on today. So let me just quickly bring up the example. So first, let me quickly just share with you how the budget file looks like, and then I'll give you some context and then show you what AI tools are able to do in terms of budget presentations. Okay, so this is how a simple company's budget looks like. By the way, this is a real company that I've worked on, but the numbers are sanitized here. You can see that there are actual data from 21, 22, and 23. The first line item is the net sales or the revenue line item, where you see the client revenue. Okay, so this is all your contracted revenue. And there is something called as UNB, or unidentified new business, in a consulting space or a consulting business, where you don't know where this business is going to come from, but it will come from some client in the pipeline. Okay, so that's the unidentified new business. And you will notice that 2024 revenue is about 26.97, roughly 27 million. And you will notice that the budget revenue for 2024 has come down from the actual revenue for 2023. So there is a 1.1% drop. Okay, and then there are other items like staff salaries, employee benefits, rentals, leasehold depreciation, staff welfare costs, advertising. All the other costs are also included here. And then on the second sheet, we have the practice level summary. So these are the different departments. Now, when I say finance, don't think about it like a finance department. These are departments which are serving finance clients. So if it's a technology department, it's not your IT department in-house. It's a practice which is serving technology clients, right? So this is how the budgeted revenue looks like, the salary allocation, the benefits allocation, and finally you see the profitability for that particular department. So this is all prepared in Excel. And then there is a salary file. For every department, you see these designations and employee codes and their salaries, right? For example, the advocacy team has the salary. There are some existing employees, and then there are to be hired as well, TBHs to be hired. You see all this example. Then there are some freelancer costs, how overheads allocation percentage is applied. So all of this data is available here. Okay. Now this is the final product of how the budget is prepared. A lot of work might have gone into it. The FP&A analysts must have discussed a lot with the business teams, and finally they came up with this budget presentation. Now, once the Excel budget presentation is ready, now we need to convert it into a presentation, which will either be presented to a CFO or the CEO. Right. So that presentation part, I'm doing it with a tool here called Manus AI. So Manus again is very similar to your Claude or your ChatGPT. I felt that Manus has a little bit more better presentation capabilities and website building capabilities, which now I think Claude has almost reached there, and Claude also does some fantastic presentations for you. But the same objective can be achieved using Claude as well, but I'm using Manus AI for this particular example. I pasted the same file, the file that I showed with you. Okay, I showed to you, and then I pasted the same file and I gave it a prompt. I said, I'm going to share with you a P&L. This P&L has budget 2024 and also the actuals for previous years. Please study this P&L in depth, act like an expert FP&A leader, and using best practices in storytelling and presentation, prepare a presentation for the CFO, okay, who will then use it to present it to the company CEO. I'm looking for 8 to 10 slide presentation with key insights. Feel free to use appropriate visuals to make it sharper. Okay, make sure that you keep the slides less text heavy and minimalistic. The presentation should be in landscape 16:9 format. Okay, so this is the prompt that I gave. Usually when you give a prompt, make sure that you give at least 2 or 3 things. One is give it a character and a context, right? Here I said, act as an expert FP&A leader. That is a character. You can give any character. Act as a CFO, act as a strategist, act as a consultant, whatever. Okay. So then the context. Context is that I want to prepare this presentation for the CFO or the budget presentation to present it to the CEO. So some more context will give it sharper insights as to how the budget presentation needs to be. Okay. And then Manus started working on it. Understood. I'll study the P&L and prepare a presentation. Blah blah blah. It started working on its own. All this is something which Manus is doing on its own. It's giving me certain steps and summary as to what it is understanding from that Excel sheet, and then finally it prepared a presentation. Now it prepared a presentation which was decent enough, but this presentation did not have the department profitability that I showed you in the Excel sheet. Okay, so it did a good job in terms of the presentation, but this did not have the department level profitability that I showed you in the Excel sheet. So what I did, said, why have we not included the information about department level profitability, although the file has information about it and along with the detailed staff costs. So I wanted department level profitability and also the detailed staff costs in this presentation. I said, you're absolutely right. I missed the department level analysis, blah, blah, blah. It started again, working on it. And the key department insights discovered, I found these things, and now I'm going to incorporate that in the presentation. And then it finally came with the presentations. Now I'm going to show you the final result of how the presentation came. Okay. So here's how the presentation looks like. Peak Advertising 2024 budget review. Okay. Decent job, in a presentation. So it started with an executive summary where it is covering the past year first. Typically, when you start a budget presentation, you start with the historical performance and then you lead the audience to your 2024 or your next year's upcoming budget presentation. So this is how it started with 2023. And look at the kind of wordings it is using. Okay. 2023 excellence. 2024 concerns. It's starting right away with the concerns, because if you notice in the Excel sheet, every metric is actually worsening in the company. Okay, so the revenue has come down by 1.1%. Our staff cost is increasing from 52.9% to 56.7%. Okay, so every metric is actually worsening, which now needs to be checked if the presentation is able to capture that. So this is how the final outcome came. Okay, where it prepared the presentation, Peak Advertising 2024 budget review. Okay, and it started with an executive summary slide where it says, look at the choice of words that it is using. 2023 excellence, 2024 concerns, and it's highlighting all the important facts that EBITDA margin has dropped, your revenue has dropped by -1%, your staff cost ratio is at 56.7%, which is again a red, and the choice of colors as well, right? And then critical focus areas, revenue stabilization, staff cost optimization, is giving some theory behind it. Although not required, we can eliminate this slide as well. Then again, the financial performance overview started with 2021, 22, 23, and then 24 budget as well. Okay. And then it's giving me the financial performance trend, simple revenue and EBITDA. Here you can notice that your revenue has almost remained flat, but your operating profit or your EBITDA has actually come down from 8.4 million to 6.3 million. And then it's giving me the details as well. 2023 performance, what were some of the things that worked in 2023? Our margin grew by 7.8%, our EBITDA grew by 49.4%, revenue grew by 11.3%. Okay, but 2024 budget analysis, it's saying minus 1% in revenue. Let me also just quickly show you the full presentation slides. Hold on. Okay, so it gave me the 2024 numbers as well, then the comparison, the financial performance trend as well. Okay, and then 2024 budget saying 1% revenue drop, 7% margin compression. So it's giving me all this information. Again, you see the choice of colors. I did not tell it to use the red colors or anything like that, but considering the concern, considering that the drivers are worsening, it is using red color everywhere on its own. The staff cost is increasing, the operating cost is growing. Staff cost ratio is 50.7%, exceeding industry benchmark of 50 to 55%. Again, I did not tell it to compare it with the industry benchmark. Now it understood that this is advertising industry. Typically in advertising industry, 45 to 50% of your revenue is actually your staff cost, and it says that it's exceeding the industry benchmark. Okay, and then operating cost structure. So again, it did a decent job. Staff cost is your biggest cost in a service company, and then followed by establishment, IT, finance, and general costs. Right, it gave us this presentation as well. Now here is where I felt Manas did a little bit better job, and I did not expect it actually to do this good a job here. Department level profitability overview. So it nicely arranged in a horizontal bar chart in a descending order as to which departments are doing well. Here you can see that regional, corporate, public affairs, these are all the departments which are doing well. And healthcare and translation department are actually in loss. You will see that these departments are in loss. And again, you see the top 3 performers and the loss-making departments. Total departments 13, loss-making departments 2. So they did a nice job on neatly arranging this in a descending order in terms of profitability. Okay, and this slide to me, I think, was the biggest highlight, which I believe is very difficult to achieve in any Excel visualization. Maybe you can achieve this in Tableau or a Power BI, but I felt this was a nice presentation where it on a 2x2 matrix, right? So on a revenue on your x-axis and your profitability on your y-axis, it classified all the department levels in terms of profitability, right? So your regional is high revenue, high profit, corporate is high revenue, high profit, right? So and these are all the departments where there is low revenue but high profit, and these are the red ones which are negatively. And then I like this thermometer also to give it gave me a benchmark as to which ones are actually high profit and which ones are actually low profitability departments. Again, a department profitability mix or performance matrix is what something which it gave on its own, which to me I think was probably the best slide among all the slides together. Then, if you remember, the second prompt that I gave was also an instruction to compare the department level staff costs. Okay, so that is where it compared the department level compensation efficiency, and on its own, it draw this benchmark line here. You see this red line, and all the departments which are beyond the benchmark, the industry benchmark of 55%, you see that they are naturally coming in red. So healthcare, advocacy, and social media departments are having high staff cost, and then again it nicely has arranged into a descending order to see which are the departments where staff cost is a problem. Okay, and it's giving you above the target. These are the concerned departments where there is a higher staff cost, and these are the most efficient ones in terms of staff cost. And this was a very good slide as well. Okay, and then some urgent department interventions is giving some recommendations technically. I mean, if I was presenting it to the CEO, I would probably skip this or trim this. Okay, again, some investments, what are the growth opportunities? It's trying to understand where we can grow our margins, which department we need to grow our margins. Giving some historical staff cost comparison as well. Historically our staff cost was lower, and this year, last year probably our staff cost was the best, right? So 56.7% is not something which is unusual. In the past, we have had 58.4%, 61.5%. So the staff cost at 56.7% is not very unusual, but it is definitely worsened compared to the last year. That's what it is going to highlight. And again, it's stressing on the industry benchmark of 50 to 55% here. And then some strategic concerns and this, cost structure inefficiency, margin sustainability issues. Again, it's giving me some techniques of how I can improve my recommendations or move towards operational excellence. And finally, it's summarizing the takeaways. What are the trends? 2023 was a strong performance. 2024 seems to be challenging. Revenue is declining. Staff cost is deteriorating. And what is the path forward? Right. So we need to focus on operational efficiency, bring our staff cost under control. All of that is possible. So this is how the presentation was built entirely from scratch. No single prompt, no single instruction in terms of which color to use or which color combination to use or anything to use for that matter. Okay. Let me just quickly, yeah. So this is how, this was just one quick example of how something like a Manus AI has built an end-to-end presentation after the budget. So this was one use case that I wanted to cover. Then the second use case, we'll take some questions in the end. So let me show you three use cases today. So one is, next is the second use case. Second use case is about autonomous CFO report in Zoho. Okay, so basically what I did was I connected Manus AI with my Zoho Books. I created a dummy company in Zoho Books and I connected my Manus AI with Zoho Books. So Zoho is an ERP. It's like an accounting software for those of you who don't know, right? In Zoho Books, Manus can do pretty much accounting on its own. Like if I say raise an invoice, it raised an invoice, right? If I say pass this expense claim, it did an expense claim on its own. So it was able to do pretty much autonomous accounting on its own. And then I thought, okay, will it be able to do some FP&A also in an autonomous way? So that's where my curiosity peaked, right? And then what I did was that I wanted Manus AI to actually pull the entire actuals from the actual sales register from the Zoho Books, okay, and then compare it with my budget Excel file and give me a one-slide CFO presentation or like a variance analysis. So that was the experiment that I did. Okay, and then here's the prompt that I gave. Let me just quickly show you a budget file. I used a very simple file for this because I wanted to see if the experimentation works. Okay, so this is how the budget file looks like. This is an Excel budget file. So these are all the customer names. Let's say Asif, Apeksha, Kajal, Trishika. These are all the customer names. And these are all the sales budget from Jan to December 25. And these are all the invoicing from October, November, December. So these are all the budgeted invoicing. So this is the budget file that I had quickly created. Okay, and then I gave this budget file. Now, I pasted the budget file in Excel here in Zoho Books. There is also an alternative that you can connect your Google Drive or your OneDrive or whatever cloud service you are using directly to the folder. And you can say pull the budget file from this folder and then compare the actuals with Zoho. That also is possible. But here I have pasted the Excel file for ease of use. Okay. So can you pull the sales register from my Zoho Books for the year 2025 and compare it with the budget sheet attached? Act as an expert FP&A analyst and give me a sharp one-slide CFO level explanation of the variances between actuals and the budget. So this was the prompt that I gave here. Okay. And then it said, okay, on it, I'll pull all the actuals from 2025 Zoho Books. Now it is pulling the actual sales register from Zoho Books, my dummy company that I had created. Okay. And then it pulled all that information. Revenue missed by 12,000 dirhams. Okay. So here is how it gave me a presentation. But somehow it did not give me a presentation in a, sorry, just give me 1 second. Where is the presentation? So finally, it gave me a presentation, so which looked something like this. Okay, a one-slide nice CFO presentation. Again, no instructions on how the presentation should be. It did on its own. Look at the nice action title as well. Revenue missed the budget by 5,500 dirhams. Timing and mix explain the difference. Now here it is giving me a waterfall chart, nice waterfall chart reconciliation as well. My budget was 17,500 dirhams, which you saw in the Excel sheet. The actuals were 12,000 dirhams. That came directly from Zoho Books, and you see that there is a 5,500 dirhams of variance. Okay, and now it is also giving me this revenue bridge. Okay, what worked for us? So Asif, Apeksha, Kajal. So these are all the customers where the billing is lower. Okay, and Grace is a customer that is a new customer where we build. That's how the bridge is between 17,500 dirhams to 12,000 dirhams. Okay, again, it's giving me some tabular information as well. Okay, November overperformance, early billing for Asif and Apeksha, pipeline miss for Kajal and Trishika. So something which we had budgeted, but we did not bill it or that did not materialize. So pipeline miss for Kajal and Trishika, unbudgeted win Grace. So Grace was not budgeted, but it came in as a new client and we billed 2,500 dirhams. Immediate pipeline review is required. So that's the action. So one quick one-page summary slide. Now, if you can imagine, so if you can connect your Manus AI or any tool like a Claude, anything to your budget folder or to your ERP system or to your accounting software directly, then the analysis can be pretty much autonomous. I can even set instructions that I need this analysis after every month close. Okay, that instruction can be set. A lot of enterprises or companies have still some restrictions on you using Claude or ChatGPT or any of these tools within your company. But soon those restrictions will go away. I think enterprise versions of all these tools are coming very fast. And then soon you will have all these tools where you will be able to use it inside your workspace as well. Okay, so this was the second use case that I had to mention to you, where autonomously the agent was able to pull the data from Zoho Books, the actual sales from Zoho Books, and then compare it with the budget and prepare a one-slide CFO variance analysis presentation. Yeah, so autonomous CFO report and Zoho connection. The third use case that I want to show here is a SaaS CFO skill. Okay, now this is something which is very common in Claude. You can build a certain skill set, or basically you can train the model to become somebody and use that as a skill. Okay, and the same feature is also available in this tool called Manus AI. Okay, so what I did was I created a quick skill set for a SaaS CFO. Okay, you see that I had some interactions here. So let me just quickly show you the first prompt. Okay. Okay. So I created a skill here. Now I'll tell you what is a skill. Just follow along the steps that I'm sharing with you. Okay. So I gave a prompt saying that the main purpose of the skill is to create an impactful CFO presentation. The skill will be used by a CFO of a SaaS company. Now imagine that you are a CFO of a SaaS company. Every month, the CFO will upload an Excel data for a SaaS company which has different financial and operational metrics. Okay. The skill would analyze Excel file and create a standardized CFO presentation, right? So I want to repeat this every month, okay, which the CFO can then use to present it to the CEO. So it needs to be strategic, sharp, and minimalistic, and you should use visualization best practices. Okay, so this was the prompt, and then it started creating. It was asking me some questions. What will the Excel file entail, and will it have all these metrics like MRR, ARR, churn rate, cost of customer acquisition, LTV, so burn rate, all of these things. How you want the presentation to be, what number of slides, preferences like does it need to contain trend lines, water charts, KPI cards, right? Then I answered all those questions, yes, no, somewhere, and yes, I answered all those questions. And now it says, okay, perfect. I have now a clear picture. I will build a CFO skill review, basically a CFO monthly presentation generator. Yeah, and it built that skill. Okay. Now there are two ways to run this skill set. One is you can use it in Python. I have not tried that yet, but you can use it in Python directly, or you can use it in Manus AI directly. So let me quickly share with you here how this skill set was run. Let me just quickly come back here and show you. So once this SaaS CFO monthly report skill was created, okay, basically this skill will act as a SaaS company CFO and prepare a presentation, okay, after the month end close, once the Excel file is shared. Okay, so I added it to the project. Okay, then what happens is whenever you are using, especially the skills are useful for multiple set of reconciliations, presentations, analysis, whatever you want to do. Okay, but these skills are required for you to use it for same tasks every month. Like you don't need to start over the prompt again, or you don't need to remember the prompt every time. Okay, you need to create the skill once, and then it will do the same task for you every month. Okay, so here, instead of just giving a generic prompt, I come here, I look at this plus mark, and then say use skills. Okay, under skills, I have my SaaS CFO monthly report. So this was a skill that I created. Okay, I'm selecting SaaS CFO monthly report, and then I'm going to my folder to pick up the sample file. Okay, so this is called SaaS metrics sample. Okay, I'm pasting that file here, and I'm not even giving any prompt. I'm just going to just say, just give enter, and then it will start on its own. So the skill contains already all the instructions that it requires to use. Then it started saying directly that I will generate a strategic CFO presentation for your SaaS metrics data. Now, while this is presenting, let me quickly show you what kind of metrics does this Excel file contain so that it gives you an idea. Now, this is in a summarized format. Okay, now again, it can handle much more complex data than this as well. But I'm just giving you a quick overview of what this file is. Okay, it has all the basic details of a SaaS company, like MRR, ARR, right? Current month, previous month, what was the target a year ago? Sorry, what was it year ago, the actuals, and then the target, new MRR, expansion, churn rate, net revenue, cost of customer acquisition, lifetime value. All of these things are LTV to CAC ratio. All of these things are the metrics that are involved in this sheet. Now, picture this: if you are a SaaS company CFO, and if your team or team of analysts is able to prepare this one slide or rather one page summary for your review, okay, then your task is to convert it to a presentation. So that's a task in question here, right? So we are not looking at analysis, but we are looking at more of a presentation, right? So I will use this Claude skill, which I've already created. Here is a SaaS CFO monthly report, and then give it as a task to manage. And now it is preparing the presentation directly, right? So it will use KPI cards, it will use graphs, it will use presentations, it will use the charts and everything, waterfall charts and all, and then prepare a presentation directly. Okay, so let's see what it is able to do. So it's still working on the presentation. Okay, so still working. It's at step number 4. We should have the output anytime now. So as a CFO, you would have your own bunch of Excel files that you would be reviewing every month. You can use those to create a skill set. Giving me the structure. This is how it is going to structure the presentation. So those were the slides that we just saw. It is almost creating the presentation. So we should have that anytime now. Let me see if I can find the previous one that I had tested. I tested it using the same file. So this is how I've successfully generated your SaaS CFO monthly report. Okay, and it is showing me this information here, right? So this is how the presentation came out. Pretty decent. I mean, well structured. And so is using KPI cards here. It is using some tabular information, giving me the information about month-on-month change on these particular metrics, revenue performance, then growth metrics, month-on-month, year-over-year. Okay, and then it's also giving me retention and churn analysis, current year and month-on-month change, assuming unit economics and efficiency. So these metrics, CAC, LTV, month-on-month change. Okay, operational health, burn rate, run rate, headcount. It's giving me all this information. Right, again, key insights and trends. Churn is improving, runway left for 22 months. So this is how a SaaS startup CFO could probably prepare a presentation. Again, decent job. I mean, the more complex you are able to, complex prompt you are able to give it and refine it, it will give you a better presentation and a better output as well. So this was again a very simple presentation that I had used to generate. Let me see if it's completed. Yeah, see the same outcome. Like I said, the same outcome every month. So if you want the same outcome every month, right? So then it's always better to kind of use the deterministic tool or other create a small skill set for yourself and use it every month. Otherwise, the presentation format and everything is going to change every month if you start using it in prompts. Okay, so that was one of the aspects. Let me just come back to the slides. So we covered primarily 3 use cases today. So one is building a budget presentation. After the Excel file was prepared, we uploaded it and asked Manus AI to prepare a budget presentation. The second one was to pull data autonomously. The actuals data was pulled from Zoho Books, and then it compared with the budget file and give me a 1-slide CFO variance analysis with a waterfall chart and commentary. Then the third use case was a SaaS company CFO skill set. We built a skill set where the same CFO presentation can be generated in every month end close. Once that Excel file is complete, you can just quickly use the skill set, add the skill set, and upload that Excel file, and then the presentation comes out every month, right? So same presentation comes out every month. Okay, so that's the SaaS CFO skill that we used as well. Here we used Manus AI today for demonstration, but the same things are also possible with Claude as well, and some things can be possible with ChatGPT as well. So these are the 3 examples that I had to share. Many times I get these questions from CFOs as to which CFO tool should I learn, right? So my advice to all of you would be that every tool has its own strengths and weaknesses. More than the tool, what you should be focusing on is the skill set to talk to these tools and get things done from them. My absolute favorites, top 3 favorites, if you ask me, are your Claude, ChatGPT, and Manus AI. So these are the tools. Again, Claude has done some amazing work in the last 6 months. It can do a lot of things inside Excel, inside PowerPoint. It can do a lot of analysis for you. So I think Claude is probably the number 1 tool right now that you should be thinking about learning much more. So now that you have some understanding about AI and how it is going to impact your FP&A function, we've already started seeing jobs where they mention, you should know Claude, or you should know AI skills, or you should know how to operate AI agents. So, right. So all of these skills are coming now in the job descriptions that we are seeing. Probably you will also be asked, like how people used to ask, do you know Excel a few years ago? They will start asking you, do you know Claude, or do you know AI, how to use AI tools? So that's where If you are prepared, then you can grab those opportunities in the high-paying AI-driven FP&A function. Okay. So what we are doing as a next step is that we are conducting an AI for Finance and FP&A masterclass, which is our flagship AI course, right? So that is starting. The live program is starting on 7th of August. It will be for 5 weeks, where we're covering 25 plus use cases, again specific to FP&A using multiple tools, 10 plus tools and frameworks, totally about 10 hours of content. Every Friday, we meet for 2 hours. Okay. And we're covering all these tools in depth, like Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Manus, Copilot. So we're covering multiple AI related use cases. What you saw today was just a quick trailer. Okay. So we're going pretty much in depth in building financial models, building presentations, research, all of those things using these tools. We're covering multiple use cases in the AI for Finance and FP&A masterclass. The classes are starting on 7th of August. Okay. What you can expect from this class, again, there will be live lessons where you will be working on hands-on and the guided instructions from the instructors. All you need to spend is about 2 hours every week, 2 to 3 hours. I would say 2 hours in the live classes on Fridays, and maybe a little bit of 1 to 1.5 hours of your own practice, where we'll give you some practice files to work on it as well. Again, 100% practical case studies and examples that we're using. What we'll focus on is the use cases and not the theory behind AI. You'll get a certification from FP&A Professionals Institute. We also conduct monthly Q&A sessions where you can ask any questions directly with the faculty, and you will also be part of global community, FPI community as well, where there are multiple discussions that are happening among professionals. Okay, and FPI has a community of more than uh, 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 students from more than 100 different countries. The next cohort of AI for Finance and FP&A program starts on 7th of August. The classes will be from Friday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST. The timing will be from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST. All you need is to give 2 hours every week. Again, do we claim to make you an expert in all these tools? Not necessarily, but at least we'll give you a great platform on which you will start building and learning these tools in a very meaningful way, right? So we'll show you practical use cases of how you can directly learn it and implement it in your job right away. And then on top of that, you can start building your expertise or your skill sets in these tools as well. Okay. So the fee investment in this program is USD 247. You can also use the code early10 to avail a 10% off. Okay, so this is only for the first 10 participants, right? So the classes start on 7th of August, Friday, 8 p.m. IST. Okay, so while I quickly pull the enrollment link for AI for Finance and FP&A, so we can quickly take some questions if you have. Feel free to unmute yourself or put your questions in the chat box to discuss anything about what we discussed today or any questions in general. Yes, Asif has already shared the course link in the chat box. You can just check out the course and then enroll. The live classes will begin on 7th of August. Awesome. So that's what I had to share today. Thanks, everyone. So wishing you all the very best for your finance careers, and hopefully we'll see you in one of our programs or any of our webinars that we'll be conducting in the coming weeks. All the very best for your careers. See you soon. Bye-bye.